73 million views that you've increased for us across all social media, which we're really happy with. Just last month, our revenue on YouTube doubled. My name is Christopher Judge, also known as Producer Chris. I am the producer of Tuned In with Jim Cummings.
All right, Chris. So we've been working for about 3.5 to 4 months. In that time frame, how many views did we get together?
I believe just based off the videos that you've edited across all social media, I believe the number is about 73 million views that you've increased for us across all social media, which we're really happy with.
What made you kind of like decide to work with me? I know I reached out a few months ago. Like, what made you just go like, "All right, I'm gonna work with
Yeah,
this guy"?
so when you first reached out to me, obviously we have, several editors, across, Upwork and, cold emails and even in person, at conventions coming up and, offering their work. And what really stood out to me with you was first of all, just the professionalism in the initial email. It was very professional and didn't seem like scammy or bawdy. And how you offered immediately to like have a FaceTime video call. I think that I'm a very interpersonal person and I like, meeting people in the flesh. I mean, this is the next best thing, especially, if we're in different cities or whatever, never had that opportunity to bump into each other. But I really liked your editing style. And before we had even talked the first time, I noticed how you are really good at picking out interesting moments in content, and also you have a good method of keeping people's attention. I feel like you have a good finger on the pulse of how to keep people's attention on your content. And so that's something I noticed before we even talked. And then when we did talk, then you reiterated all that stuff. And I thought it was at least worth a try. It seems, almost like, okay, it seems like it's hard to promise these huge increases in views and have us just be like, okay, we'll take your word for it. But so you offered us a really good deal on an initial trial, and that went superbly. And then since then, yeah, it's just really been on the up and up. One thing that I'm just gonna jump into a question that you haven't asked yet, but one thing that I appreciate about working with you is the communication. Through the Slack channels, and you're always very accessible. And when we want things, altered or changed, I know initially we had you releasing videos earlier than you normally do because of the fan base of our content usually is younger. They have more time in the mornings, and you're very accommodating with that. So we really appreciate like the little accommodations, and we do adhere to a pretty strict formula when we do these things, and you've blended with that flawlessly.
When we first started working together, did you think we were gonna get 73 million views together? Like, did you think we were gonna do that?
I really didn't know a number. I just, we were hoping that it was going to increase the views. That's all we were really focused on, was getting more viewership, getting it more out there. Um, I didn't have any number necessarily in mind. Obviously, we want it to be in the millions. I feel like that's the
Hmm.
the next step up, because we were already getting, tens and hundreds of thousands. And so stepping that up into the millions, to start really, I mean, full transparency, really our goal, is to start getting brand deals and sponsors and whatnot. And
Hmm.
those, when these companies see those millions, that's what really, makes them feel safe in partnering with you. So, yeah, to answer your question, I really didn't have a specific number in mind. 73 million is probably higher than what I would have expected in 3 months. And yeah, to get more like micro on your work, uh, I get really excited, watching the YouTube algorithms and, the statistics as they update, and seeing in real time, how your videos are outperforming what we've done before. And then that motivates me in my editing, to, come up to that standard as well. So we kind of try and boost each other. I think it's been working really well.
So I know we got like a 10 million viewed video on Instagram. What was your like kind of reaction to that?
It's fascinating to me what garners views on YouTube, because it sometimes you have a video and like, okay, people are going to watch this,
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily know how much it's going to blow up. And then, like, for example, when we get the 10 million views, it's just like, whoa, whoa, where did this come from? It's just like such a huge spike. And then what's even better about that is that feeds into higher views for, up videos that are released onwards, because you can see the trend of, oh, now like the video I mentioned, Andrea Romano, oh, now that one gets up to 5.1 million views. And oh, now we have another one that gets up to 3, and that residual effect leading people through that feed, I think is really helpful. Well, obviously it's really helpful, but yeah, it's definitely an eyebrow raiser whenever one of those videos hits like that. It's like, oh, okay, all right, this is really well done. And then I personally go in because I'm an analytic person and I go in and watch the video and I'm like, okay, what makes this so captivating? And then again, back to your ability to capture those key moments, to edit out, the hums and the haws and make it very concise, make it very uh another thing we asked you to do was, try and keep it within 30 seconds, and you did that beautifully. It's yeah, it's you've made the process a lot easier.
Has the millions of views we got helped you get sponsors at all?
It has so far we still are remaining unsponsored for the time being, but it definitely has opened doors to us, and it's been we've been able to leverage that into a lot more meetings, and
Mm,
specifically representation is what we've been mainly focused on, because we want our representation to take care of all the brand deals rather than
mm.
doing it independently. So that really has opened the door for many conversations, absolutely, with these different studios that are looking to represent podcasts. And that's ultimately what we want, because we want it to be more streamlined rather than, independently operated. And that's 100%. There's no doubt at all that that's helped us.
So you pretty much just go up to these guys and show them like your Instagram and YouTube and say like, look, we're getting millions of views, and then that opens up a
Yeah, it's a little
conversation.
more intricate than that. They go
Hmm.
down and they look at the KPM, they try and extrapolate, how much of value we could be to them, because they have other clients and that they're all about the numbers. So they know approximately how much money sponsors are going to offer based on your KPM. And for anybody watching who doesn't know what that is, it's pretty much how much money, how much in dollars each video generates per thousand views. And that metric fluctuates based on a variety of factors, but you can see that in your analytics. It tells you what your KPM is. And
Hmm.
that's a big factor of what these advertisers look at, is how much money are you generating per thousand views. And once again, since Kevin has started working for us, it's definitely increased that KPM. And then like, yeah, just last month, our revenue on YouTube doubled for the last month.
Would you say that investment you made in me was worth it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the investment was worth it. Absolutely. It was a little intimidating at first. Not intimidating, that's the wrong word. It always feels like it's people don't respect how much work goes into editing. I'll say that. People don't respect how much work goes into editing, so they think they undervalue it when you're unknowledgeable about the cost, not only in, time, but the cost of actually paying for edited videos. People tend to assume that a short video, shouldn't be that much to cost to edit because it's short, which is not the case, because a 30-second video can have all the editing in the world. It could be 30 seconds of Thanos fighting the Avengers. How much editing is going to go into that? And so I say all that to say that it was well worth the investment, and you put the proof in the pudding. It felt like a risk in the beginning, but I feel like that's what any investment is. And it's well worth the money for sure.
Would you recommend my services to other people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd recommend your services. Yeah, your communication's been great. Your work ethic's great. It's very easy to work with you. You make good adjustments. You never really push back on anything with, your own agenda or ego or anything like that, which I know some creatives can do. And yeah, I definitely recommend you to anybody else who's looking for editing services.